This is Now is Non-negotiable, your 10-minute reset to guard your thoughts, grow your faith, and win the war between you and your mind. Get ready as we dive right in. I am so glad you're here. Welcome back to the Now is Non-negotiable podcast. I am Katie Maris, and I'm so excited for you to be here with me today. I'm excited to be in front of the mic to continue my series on peace. Now, this is the third episode where I have given tidbits of information around how you can cultivate a world of peace, even if you're in the middle of a mess. And so if you haven't listened to any of those episodes, go on back to episode 6 and 7. But today I want to talk to you about something that I don't think gets enough airtime in the world of wellness and peaceful mindsets and the let's just meditate your stress away culture that really doesn't exist. The reality is, to create a culture of peace, to create a life of ease and peace, it isn't always pretty. Now, I know we would like to imagine that it is so easy and pretty, like sipping tea in silence with a candle burning, or laying on a massage table with spa music in the background. And sure, it can look like this sometimes, but the peace I'm talking about, the peace I've had to fight for, it doesn't come in a cute little glass jar with a bath salt label. It comes in the middle of the moment when you want to lose it, but you know you shouldn't. Okay, I'm going to get to a real story here. The other day, I had an interaction with my ex-husband. They don't always go great. And it was one of those moments where you're like, okay, did you really just say that to me? I was so fired up. Everything in me wanted to snap back. I wanted to defend myself. I wanted him to know that I was right and he was wrong, and the fuel and the fire was bubbling up inside me. I wanted to tell him he was being rude and mean and unfair. And in the past, I would have. My top would have blown. I would have defended myself. I would have gone for the jugular. Did I say that right? I would have gone for the jugular. But this time, with all the practice that I've had around creating peace in my life and the importance of feeling joy and ease, and the realization that you are the only one in control of mine and your peace, I paused. I literally took a deep breath and I walked away from the phone. I put it down and I went straight to prayer. Y'all, I am learning that peace does not just happen. It is a really good idea. It is incredible to think of living in this beautiful, harmonious, ease and abundant life. And it's totally possible. But it doesn't just happen. You have to decide you want it, and then you have to actually work at achieving it. Peace is a practice. A few days after that, Kevin and I, well, we got into it. We're a normal couple, although we don't fight a ton. We communicate really, really, really well. It's one of my favorite things about us. But I was a little on edge, and I let something small get way bigger than it needed to. And I raised my voice, which I think this was the first time in the time that we've been together that I've actually raised my voice. And it wasn't about him. It was about me not managing my inner chaos. And it clicked for me in that moment where I realized, oh my gosh, I am raising my voice at somebody who did absolutely nothing wrong. And there was something happening in me. If you don't deal with what's happening inside, it will spill out into your relationships and your everyday life. And the opposite is also true. When someone disrupts your external peace, it shakes up what's happening inside. Both of the examples between my ex-husband and Kevin were examples of somebody interrupting my external peace and having that chaos want to like just bubble out and explode all over him. And then my internal peace not being within check and having that bubble out and me taking it out on the man I love so very much. It's like an infinity loop. What's going on the inside affects what's going on the outside and vice versa. And where they meet, that right in that center, that infinity loop, well, that's where peace happens. When you can manage your thoughts and your emotions from the inside out, that prepares you to handle any disruption of your external peace from the outside in. And in that cross section, you can remain calm even when it's not a calm situation. That's peace. Peace is when you can breathe through the mess. But we don't land there by accident. And as I mentioned, peace is a practice. I have worked really hard over the last 1.5 to 2 years at creating peace, managing my own peace. You have to practice your way to peace. It is a choice every single day. And the reality is, it's not glamorous and it's not always perfectly spiritual. And sometimes it is just plain hard. But there are 3 things I always go back to, and I have been practicing this for the last almost 2 years now, and it has really, truly elevated the peace levels in my life, internally and externally. It has allowed me to create a culture of peace within my world, but I had to practice it. So the first step, the first thing I go to always, as I mentioned when I had that sort of interaction with my ex-husband, is I went straight to prayer. So the first thing I do is I go to prayer. I take it vertical before I take it personal. Before I explode or overthink, I get quiet with God. When you go vertical, before you take it personal, when you go to prayer, you may not impact or change the person that is disrupting your peace, but you always will change yourself. All right, the second thing I do is I praise and focus on what I'm grateful for, and I move, shifting my energy. So some days I put on a song, I dance in my kitchen, I light a candle, I cry, I journal, whatever it takes to shake off that icky feeling. But I move, I pivot. And we've talked about the pivot method on a few episodes here, and it helps enormously to move you up the emotional scale. And the goal is to move 1 or 2 notches up the emotional scale, but not to just stay stuck in that chaos that is brewing. Because peace isn't pretending that everything is fine, because the reality is life isn't always fine, but it is saying, I'm not going to stay stuck here. And you have that control to decide whether or not you stay where you are or you move out of what you're feeling and into something more positive and more peace-filled. The third thing, and this has been very hard for me, is I let it go. Letting it go, whatever it is a gift you give yourself, much like forgiveness. It is a gift you give you so that you can move past the feelings of hurt and shame, or the feelings of frustration and anger and anxiety, because that gives you the gift to continue growing and to continue to attract better energy and stay in a more elevated, positive, energetic level. So letting go, as I mentioned, is one of the hardest things for me. I like closure. I like to know that things are okay. But some days, the win is just moving on. Just realizing that whatever disrupted your peace You have the ability to just let it go and not let it disrupt you any further. Letting it go, not dragging it into the next hour or the next day or the next conversation is such a gift. I am actually going to add to the show notes the emotional scale that I just spoke about, because I think it's really important for you to see that on this emotional scale, you only have to move up 1 or 2 notches to become more peace-filled. And unfortunately, most of us sit in the overwhelm, anxiety, boredom, fear range in emotion. And the goal is to get to joyful and happy and peaceful and enthusiastic and empowered. But you can't expect yourself to go from chaos, the mess, all the way to joy-filled and empowered. The goal is to get one more degree away from the yucky feelings. So I'm gonna put that into the show notes so y'all can reference it. It's a great tool to use with the kids, or anybody in your orbit that is having a hard time feeling an emotion, identifying what that emotion is, and moving them up that scale. All right, you might be thinking right now, okay, you know what? All of this is great, Katie, but I don't even know where to start. Okay, this next part, though, is for you. If you don't know where to start and you're thinking, yeah, I have all of this going on and I feel the anxiety and I feel the frustration and I try to pray or I try to journal and I try to pivot and I have my mindset shifters and I do gratitude, whatever it is. This is something that I have done with all of my coaching clients, and it's something that I want you to do with me right now. So if you're driving, please don't do this. Make sure you come back to this part in the podcast, because it will be worth it, I promise. But listen up. If you are at a desk and you have access to a journal or a notepad, I want you to grab it. I want you to grab your notes in your phone, whatever is closest. And I want you to write out your personal peace principles. This is one of the best ways to practice peace, is to know what the heck peace means to you and what your guardrails are. I would suggest having 3 to 7 of them as your reminders, your I'm not going to lose myself today anchors. I have mentioned some of my principles on previous podcasts, but these ones, these peace principles, are something that I hope inspires you, something that I hope will help you think a little deeper about the type of control you actually have on creating your own peace. So first and foremost, just like the first place I go is I go to prayer and I go vertical, my number one peace principle, and it's really the principle that governs everything in my life, is that I seek God first in everything. I measure my success by the joy I feel. If it doesn't line up with feeling joy and peace, it's a heck no. I'm honest, even when it's hard, especially being honest with myself in the moment, knowing that I could have disrupted somebody's external peace or I'm disrupting my own internal peace. I forgive quickly and I let go. That's at number 3 on my peace practice. I speak up and I never shrink, because a lot of times you will keep your negative thoughts inside you, which then creates a negative emotion and negative energy. And when you don't speak about it, and when you decide to shrink and, sort of brush it off, you're only hurting your inner peace. It is better to talk about what you're feeling, be aware of those emotions, and change your thought process than keeping it in. Peace isn't easy. The practice isn't easy. So I urge myself always to do what's right and what's not easy. And last, and this almost always works, it goes in line with gratitude and right back up in line with prayer. I speak love into the world, and I've made myself that promise. And if I speak love into the world, even with those that mess with my external peace, if I speak love into the world, then I will get love back in return. One practice I use with that is that when somebody who disrupts my external peace or I might have friction with in my life, if I think one negative thought about them, I write down 10 positive things. This allows me to shift my mindset from anger and disappointment and being upset and move into more of a peace-filled energy, moving up the emotional cycle and speaking love into the world. Every one of these practices, these principles of peace, I use them daily. I go back to them in every moment. When I want to react, I go to them. When I'm feeling unsteady, I go to them. When I am unsure of what to do next, you got it, I go to them. So I'm going to ask you right now, what kind of person do you want to be when peace is hard to find? What do you want to return to when life gets loud? What will you practice? Not when it's easy, but when it's needed. I want you to write those things down. And the next hard moment, when that hits, I want you to return to them and remind yourself of who you want to be in the middle of the chaos and what you want to feel when the going gets tough. Peace isn't something you wait for. I mean, rarely anything in life is anything you could ever wait for. It requires action, it requires intentionality. Anything you want in life requires you to show up. And that includes having a practice around peace. Peace is something you must decide on over and over again. It's holding your tongue when you could scream. It's closing your eyes and choosing stillness over spiraling. Peace, it's doing what you need to do to get your mind back into alignment, even when no one else understands what's happening. Peace isn't always graceful. That practice is not always graceful, but it is so, so good for you. And you are normal if you're stumbling, tripping, and falling as you try to find this so-called balance of calm and abundance and ease and peace in life. You are so capable of practicing peace if you so choose. And when you stop negotiating with your peace, when you decide to show up, when you decide to put the effort into creating a world of positivity, everything changes. Everything. Even in the middle of your kid's meltdown, or even in the pause between jobs, even with the text from somebody that stings, even in the seasons when you are waiting for God's timing, but you're waiting for something to unfold or to happen for you. And in the middle of the mess, peace doesn't wait for the storm to pass. It just doesn't. But you can have peace in the storm. You can be grounded in the middle of it. And that's my hope for you. My hope is that you truly try my 3 steps to practicing peace: prayer, praise, mindset shifting, and letting it go. I hope that you choose to move towards a more peaceful life, realizing that you have the control to have that outcome if you so choose. I hope you turn this off in like 30 seconds and write your peace principles that you refer to when the going gets tough, when the storm arises. And I'm so grateful that you're here, and I truly hope that your internal peace becomes so unshakable that the external world doesn't disrupt what you're building for your life. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for giving back to yourself and creating a more peaceful environment where you can live in joy and ease and laugh, even if you feel like crying. I'll see you next time on Now is Non-negotiable. Again, thank you for showing up for you.